Okay, we're going to have a fun example here. This is going to be kind of fun. We're going to be adding an emotional preparation to a scene, right? So we're going to be working to be able to add and learn how to be able to. And this is just one example. We're going to need all kinds of examples. So check out the other examples as well. But look, we are going to be in a situation where we know for sure that we've got a part, right? We're giving ourselves that scenario. And we've got a part where we've had a tough day at work and we're on the verge of a promotion. And then we come back to our house or wherever, our apartment, and we get a phone call and we find out that the company might be going bankrupt. That's the scene, right? So this is it's defined enough that we can start to be able to work and do the construction needed to be able to have that scene actually work. Now, a lot of times, some people would not do this work that I'm going to show you, but this is the way this is the real way that you can work on being able to do it. And there's obviously a lot of different ways to work on scenes, but this is very solid. So, we know that we want to be able to work with emotions. We want to be able to work with emotions. We want to be able to work with emotional preparation. We want to be able to work being able to activate our emotions so that we have that available, so we can create this vacuum, we can create this excitement, we can create this element in the acting work that actually happens to us in real time while we're acting. And so we're going to explore how to be able to do that with craft in acting. We know we want to gain depth. We know the scene, a tough day at work, we're about to get a promotion. And then we get a phone call, right? We want to realize something that we've stimulated, right? Because we're going to be working with emotions. Look, whether you call emotions emotional preparation, whether you call them just emotions, or whether you call it inner life, or you just say this is your actor preparation, this is one way to do it. And it's solid. And so you don't want to force your emotions in acting. So you want to be able to activate it, but not force it. So your reality here is you want to allow your emotions to be activated in your acting. You don't want to present your emotion. A lot of people would try to present that scene. Oh, they're surprised. And they would go off to the mirror and they would practice over and over and over the surprise. Oh, they're very surprised. And look, there's some funny things that you could do with that that's creative, but that's not what we're looking for. We're looking to, at this point, get some realism in the work. So we don't want to present the emotion, which takes some time to be able to practice. There's a little bit of a gear thing that happens in the actor where they have to be able to practice a little bit of balance and a little bit of trust. Really, you want to be able to trust yourself that you can have the emotion, but you don't need to present the emotion. That there's a way that the interaction of the scene will actually pull that out, which it will. All right, so then you want to let the emotion be there, but you don't want to yourself actually be actively pulling it out in the scene. You want to be able to have something going on in you, it works in you, you want to be able to have it there, you want to have the reassurance of being able to bring that solid emotion into your acting. So, what are we going to do? We are going to make a personal list. I made a list of a few things. I figure out here that we're dealing with the emotion of devastation. So, we're looking at, I wrote down some things here. It's a little interesting. Tried to make it close to me, but we'll discuss it. So here's the thing. Remembering a loss of job. So, can I remember a loss of a job? Okay, I'll go through the list first, then we'll discuss it. Had a stock crash. Devastation. had a Bitcoin stolen or you couldn't access the Bitcoin. Hi, now listen, could you please just help me out? I need really, really good acting questions so I can help you out. So if you can write down in the comment section, each comment a separate question, write down an acting question. This would really help to be able to have people learn acting. Had corn market go against you. So there's this stuff in the commodity markets, it's called getting stopped out of the market, where you put the investments in, and a lot of times what will actually happen, and this happens quite often, is that the market will actually go the opposite direction than what it's anticipating, and then all of a sudden later it will rise much, 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 much higher. So it will have what's called a pullback or a dip, or you'll be stopped out of the market, which means you'll lose your position and the money that you put into it. And then all of a sudden, just like clockwork, all of a sudden the commodity will go sky high, just like corn market did years ago, where all of a sudden it pulled back to a certain point, and then a lot of people got stopped out of the market, and then they lost their money, and then all of a sudden the market went, and all of a sudden food prices now years later are skyrocketing. Okay, here's another one. Something that's devastating. Your dog Fluffy is whom you're fond of Fluffy. You like your dog Fluffy. You're fond of the fella, and well, you could imagine that your dog Fluffy has died of a heart attack, right? And you come back to your house or apartment, and your dog Fluffy's dead, right? Okay, that's an emotional preparation you could work on, right? Now this one, you had a script stolen for international distribution. Okay, well, this has happened to me. A lot of you have seen stuff on TV that I've written, and I haven't had credit for it. Some of it, it's very, 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 very true. Unfortunately, that's an actual true story. That's a true story. So I could work from that truth. I could decide and determine that I could work from that truth. I know that I started the stuff. They literally have word for word in the first episode of every single thing I said and everything that I wrote, and then somebody else took credit for it and a venture capitalist stole the word. Now, is that the kind of devastation that I want to choose? If I can activate that, can I activate that for the purpose of acting? So I can go forward with my life. We're not dealing with therapy. We're dealing with something that I can go forward with it and be able to put it into my acting work so that it can start to be working for me instead of a really bad, terrible experience that other people have gone through, of course. And could I put it into my acting? Could I somehow invest it into my acting so that it's part of what this is? Now look, we're dealing with adding emotional preparation to a scene. So we're really dealing with the ability to craft ourselves, to make a determination here, what would be something that would actually activate ourselves, that would match the script, right? Something that's going to be able to match the script, something that's going to be able to match the script, but it's not the script's imaginary circumstance. It's something that we can identify in life. So I can go through this list. Remembering losing a job. It doesn't really, I get it, but it's not like I've really had detailed, that's not really happened to me in a way that's actually really, if I really examine it, it's not been like that. I've never really lost a job like that. I've either quit or I've told people that I don't want to work for them or whatever the case is. But it's not that. So there's something about that I could go into. I could go into past experiences with jobs and a job loss, and I could go into it. But here's the thing: what I'd be activating is this element that's not this complete certainty, right? It's not the complete clarity of what it would be, the emotion that would be in the scene. So the emotion in the scene is you had a tough day at work, you're on the verge of a promotion, and you get a phone call, and you don't know, but you find out that the company might be in bankruptcy or going into bankruptcy. That's the scene. Could I activate remembering the loss of a job in there? I could, and it would be better off having it there than nothing, than no emotion at all, right? It would be better to activate something than to activate nothing. So if I had nothing to work with, that would be something that could work. Now the next one I had, which was, had a stock market crash. Okay, there's been times where I've been trading, whatever the case is, things have gone against me. I could see that that's something that I identify with it. I know what it is, for one. I know what it means. I know multiple definitions of it. And I definitely have relationship to it. I could relate to it. I could relate to a stock market crash or a huge pullback instead of a complete crash like the 1930s around 1930s where the market crashed completely and we had like a huge economic problem. Although now it's very similar, it's getting to be. It's just the stocks are going up and then the economy is crashing. But anyway, we'll see. Maybe it won't crash. This is the thing. So there's some iffiness there, right? I've got something that's activating inside of me. There's an inner conversation, you could even call it, right? It's an inner conversation that's active, that sparks something. There's a spark of it. Had a stock market crash. Okay. Had Bitcoin stolen. Hi. Now listen, could you please just help me out? I need really, really good acting questions so I can help you out. Okay. Now look, this could be a situation that I could work with out of my life, or I could say, well, it wasn't because it wasn't stolen. There's been times when I haven't had access to stuff and I haven't been able to figure out how to get it. And that's true. Okay, here's one. Had the corn market go against me, I was stuck in a stopped out position, and then all of a sudden the corn market goes up 15 times the prices, and all of a sudden 3, 4, 5, 6 years later we're all dealing with higher grocery prices. That I can identify with. Does it get me? Is it still living inside of me? I have to think about this for a minute. Now I'm not thinking with my mind. I'm not sitting here trying to decide with my head what it is to do. I'm really taking this in. I'm looking at this and I'm going, well, I know what it's like to be stopped out of a market that I know for a fact, or I feel convicted that it's going to go up, or convinced that it's going to go up. And I've lived that out more than once, by the way. I've really have. That is something where, now does this match the scene? Yeah, it does, right? I mean, a bankruptcy of a company would be news that I wouldn't expect to get, especially if I was looking for a promotion. But maybe the promotion wouldn't happen at that point. I mean, I don't know. I mean, these are a lot of good correlations here. See, I could now work with this element that it would be personal to me, and it could work to be able to emotionalize the scene. It could work. It could work. It could work. That's a good one. So let's go to the next one. I mean, my dog Fluffy, who I'm fond of, right? I think he's a fine fella, and the thing is that he could die of a heart attack. Now, has that happened? No. Could I imagine my dog Fluffy dying of a heart attack? Yeah. I wouldn't want to do that though. It's news that I would not want to hear. My dog Fluffy Dying of a heart attack. I would not want to hear. I mean, it's just news I wouldn't hear. That would work. That would work. That would definitely work. That to me is a strong match. That would be great. That would work. There would be an emotion. There would be a loss of a friend, with my dog, and sometimes dogs have heart attacks. It's possible. So now look, I'm feeling a little bit like a similar thing as to what the script is. Now, the script's imaginary circumstance is that you had a tough day at work, that I've had a tough day at work, right? And I am on the verge of a promotion. So obviously, I'm working very hard. I'm working to get a promotion. And then I get a phone call. And I don't know, but the company is likely to be is going to be in bankrupt. The phone call is telling me it's going to be filing bankrupt tomorrow. The next few days, it's going to be bankrupt. So that's a match. That's an emotional match. Is it one that I expected to go through on this list? No, it's not. So it has to be said. Now, if you would boop the like button, it would be helpful. But look, this is how you do work. I mean, this most serious acting work is literally being able to identify this, and this is one emotional preparation technique. One. We could go into imaginary circumstances. And in the imaginary circumstances, we could even add more to this. Or we could do some of the things, there's a thing called historic fiction, where you literally have your own history and then you add fictional elements to it. And what that can do, oh my God, it can do stuff. Now, if I'm going to imagine here that, or if I'm going to work within this imaginary circumstance, then I'm going to put these real circumstances inside of me of devastation before the scene starts. Now, I could do one, I could do more than one, and that's going to be dependent on your talent. Typically, it's normally one item, but it depends how full you might want to get emotionally. So if you're putting the fact that you're hardworking, you could put more than one of these items in that are of devastation. Now, this is key. I mean, this is how actors work, right? So you've got to bring in your emotional preparation, which is, in this case, there's all types. There's imaginary, there's real, there's fictitious, there's a mixture of fictitious and there's what ifs. That was the other thing that was called back in the day. They called what if. You could do a what if. What if this happened to you? Would this stimulate you? Would this be something that would activate something in you? Well, to be quite honest, my dog Fluffy, typically, I mean, this is a what if, really. I mean, you could define it as that. But regardless, it's all emotional preparation. So what you want to do is what you're probably seeing me do now, if you look closely. I'm really absorbing the element of belief. I'm working to put belief in this where I could really believe that my dog would have died of a heart attack. And now what happens is that you're going to go and do that, and you're going to start working with this emotion. You're going to start activating that emotion, right? Now, you haven't quite heard the news yet. You won't hear the news until you're acting. So you want to be able to keep yourself working, and you want to be able to go into the initial part of the scene more optimistic. But when the moment comes, when you're told that the company is going to file bankruptcy, likely tomorrow, but definitely in the next few days, you want to listen to that. And then you want to be able to take that in. And if you have a memory of what it would be like, or if you have the emotion come up of what it would be like to see your dog dead in your apartment, then go with that feeling. Then what's happened is actually the emotional preparations actually activated in the real-time moment of the scene. It may not catch you in that way, but if it does, you stay open to it affecting you. And maybe the first thing you do is you put the phone down, and or you sit down with the phone, because it starts to hit you emotionally. So it's not something that you play up. It's not something that you absolutely like it's not something that you perform, right? It's something that you allow to be able to happen in you, where it's like you let the catalyst hit you, and you know that that catalyst means the deeper thing. And then because you've warmed up your emotional life and you've got these other ideas and you pick some devastation, then all of a sudden the news of your company going bankrupt after you've been working so hard it's so real on camera. So try this out, work on it, and realize, be kind to yourself when you're dealing with these emotions, because they can definitely be exhausting. But this is the way to be able to open yourself up to be able to have real-time experiences where you're really allowing your emotional preparation to be activated by something that's in your imaginary circumstance. So hopefully that's been very helpful, and let me know how to be able to, or what questions, acting questions you need to be able to ask, and we'll go through this, and we're going to go through a lot more examples of this. All right, and thanks very much.